is my
Hi guys, welcome back to our channel. You're joining me for another story time. So for this story time, I'm going to talk about this. Not my tattoo, but this. Like, what is that, right? Kind of weird looking. That's just sitting normal. You can tell there's something wrong. Well, here's what happened. Back several years ago, we're gonna say 8 years ago or more, I think my grandparents had just recently moved, or Stone, lay down, here, down, down, down. Stay. So I'm gonna say it was probably about 8 years ago. Maybe longer, I don't know for sure. It's been a while. My grandparents had moved their horses out to Nebraska, and we were watching them, taking care of them. And I had the idea that I was going to ride my grandpa's horse, Hagen, and he hadn't been ridden in, sorry, someone just drove by. He hadn't been ridden in several years. I started out with all the basics of, you know, lunging him on the ground, trying to get his respect. He was doing fantastic. I was a little overzealous, and I said, I'm gonna ride this horse. So I loaded up, you know, got my saddle on. Obviously I didn't have a saddle. Saddled him. I put a bridle on him. I did everything a horse person should do, you know, checked feet, did all that, everything that you're supposed to do when you're getting ready to ride. And we went out and we went trail riding. We actually rode beside the side of the Interstate 80, so I-80. That's why I was having such a hard time saying it, because I'm used to saying I-80, but I thought I better clarify. Where we lived at the time was right next to it, and so I rode him. There was a fence in between, so don't think that I was like out on the interstate, but I rode him from Ogallala all the way to Roscoe and back. So total that day, I rode him for like 2.5 hours, and it went fantastic. It was amazing. He was beautiful. He is beautiful. He's a beautiful horse. I will try to insert a picture of him if I can. And just beautiful horse, beautiful ride. It went wonderfully, and I was stoked. I was like, heck yeah, this is my riding horse. This is cool. And then the next day came up, and I was like, we're gonna do this again, yeah. And so I went through all the processes. I maybe skipped a little faster than I should have, you know, didn't do nearly as much round penning, didn't try to work nearly as much on getting like respect and all of that. I was like, he did fine. 2.5 hour ride yesterday. What could go wrong? I'll give you a hint. So we were in the yard riding, and we were actually like in a field riding, and he spooked. I still have no idea what he spooked at, but he spooked and took off bucking and kicking and loping sideways. And I, in my life, have never ridden a horse that could buck and do all that sideways. Never. I was like, 1 buck, got this. 2 buck, uh-oh. 3 buck, goodbye. Bam. Hit the ground. Landed directly on my shoulder and my head. Now, most of my people know that I like to ride with a helmet, and this is partially why. Because when I fall, I land on my noggin. And it seems to not just be with horse accidents either. Now that I'm clumsy or whatever's going on with me, I happen to do that too. Anyways, back to story time. So I fell. I lost hold of him in the process. I lost my reins. I remember seeing the irrigation pipe near me. I hit right beside it. And then I remember just feeling very foggy and hurting so bad, just excruciating pain, and not being able to lift my arm. Like, there was something wrong. Got to my cell phone, called my mom, told her what happened. She was working an hour away, and she was like, "Stop! Don't do anything. I'm coming to get you. I'll take you to the hospital." And I was like, "Mom, it's just my arm. I can drive myself to the hospital. I've got another one." And she insisted that I wait until she come home and get me to take me to the hospital. Now, hindsight, probably wise, because I definitely had a concussion. Also, I was in really bad pain, so who knows what kind of driving I would have really done. But at the time, all I could think of is, she's making me wait an hour for her to come get me, to take me to wait who knows how long at the ER. Meanwhile, Hagen was running free. So I got up, hunted him down. I believe that I'm the one that caught him, but I don't remember unsaddling him. So this could be a thing. Maybe my family will comment below. My mom or dad will say what happened, because I don't really remember. But I never did ride Hagen again. Have I wanted to? Yes. Am I brave enough? No. And even though I say that like every rider at one point or another gets bucked off or whatever, it's just one of those things of like, this is a pretty massive injury. So what it is I have a 3rd-degree separation of my AC ligament, I believe it is. I was gonna try to pull it up for you guys real quick. I actually ended up seeing a specialist about it. So AC separation is a very frequent injury among physically active people. In this injury, the clavicle, or the collarbone, separates from the scapula, the shoulder blade, and is commonly caused by a fall directly on the point of the shoulder or directly below, received in a contact sport. Football players and cyclists who fall over the handlebars are often subject to AC separations. Well, mine was falling off a horse, so that is why that's separated. Now, the specialist I saw, or that I went to, he said unless I was an award-winning athlete, that there was really no point in fixing it. Looking at it now, I wish I would have fixed it, because it would have been under my insurance and it would have been covered and it wouldn't have been a thing. But now it is a thing, and now where I've lost the weight, it is a very clear, obvious thing that my joint is separated. It cracks, it pops, it rubs weird. I actually have a spot on it from where it has come in contact with like hitting things like the wall, or rubbing against things where like my shoulder rolls forward and it will just sit there and rub against things. Sorry, I keep looking at myself so that I'm making sure I'm in frame. Ooh, I know what else I almost forgot to tell you. So what happened when I went to the doctor? If they didn't do surgery, did they just send me on my way? Basically, they put me in a sling for 4 weeks and said, come on back in 4 weeks and we'll check it out and everything. And guess what? 4 weeks later, it was still like this, because it doesn't automatically heal itself. So basically that just made it more comfortable for the time being while it was healing, because it wasn't jostling around. I wasn't riding horses, so there was no issue there. I will say, just to kind of piggyback on to this story, I wasn't supposed to do anything with horses for at least a month, but I maybe might have gone out to my own horse, Rocky, and, you know, went into the round pen and cuddled him a little. And then after about 3 weeks of me not riding him, he turned into a monster. And when I went out on week 4, I was out there and his body language changed. And that horse tried to kick me. And I took off my sling and I chased him with it and I round pinned him. I didn't care how bad my arm hurt. I round pinned him until he was done. And Rocky has never tried to kick me again. So I consider that a win. And this is something I live with and doesn't bother anybody else really. I mean, maybe aesthetically, but maybe one day I might fix it. Maybe one day I won't. I don't know. I've lived with it this long, right? So yeah, that's story time of how I got this injury that pops up in things. And a lot of times you'll see that I actually will roll and pop my shoulder back into place so that it looks nice and not so scary to everybody. Because everybody goes, ooh, when they see me in an ER and they see my shoulder sticking out like that. Like, been there, done that. It's been like this for a while. So that is the end of story time today, guys. Let me know what else you'd like to see. Like, comment, subscribe, and be sure to ring that bell icon. That way you don't miss another story time. Bye!
Feel just like a rock star.